Hi, welcome back to Cheyenne, Wyoming Urban Gardener. This is Debbie, and this is going to be a review of the Welbilt the bread machine. This is the original bread machine system. It is a machine, and it does have a timer, and it has several different selections. You can do white bread, French bread, sweet bread. You can do it manually, where it just kneads the bread for you, and then you can let it rise, and then go into the oven. And then you have a timer on here as well as a regular clock. You can set the clock by that. I have it unplugged right now because it just got finished baking some bread. And I'll show you the bread in just a moment. But here is the machine. Fairly simple mechanism. It does have a glass lid. So when you pull the glass lid down, this is what it looks like. And it does get very hot, so you have to be careful. Make sure it has enough clearance on the top to be able to open. And then you have a paddle down there. The paddle works extremely well. And it actually does more than just spinning and turning and things like that. It actually does kind of a pulsating motion. So that with the kneading, that actually helps quite a bit. I do have two different bread machines. I have this one, and then I have a Sunbeam bread machine. And this one does not knead quite as well as the Welbilt does, the original bread machine. This one has a tendency to have collections of flour in the corners that it doesn't quite get to, and it just doesn't knead quite as well, but it does do something a little bit better than the Welbilt does, and that is that it kneads quickly. The Welbilt kind of kneads pretty slow, but it actually does a very thorough job. And it does take a lot longer on the Welbilt than it does on the Sunbeam. However, with the Sunbeam, I have noticed that when you put in your ingredients and everything, and then it bakes the bread, it does have a tendency to have the bread fall. It doesn't rise or stay risen very well. But the Welbilt, I've never had an issue with that so far. Any ingredients that I've put in it, it bakes the bread. It does a fantastic job, and I'll show you what it looks like. So here you can see a loaf of bread that just came out of the Welbilt. Now it is more of a cylinder machine, so you do have the bread. It ends up being like a cylinder. This one is actually a quite fluffy loaf. But you can see it is nice and brown. It does have a crisp outer edging, flaky, very delicious, and then of course a very even color all the way around. Now as far as the paddle at the bottom, everyone wonders if you have much of a hole, and some people complain about that, but I don't have any issue with it. I'm going to turn it over and let you see that yes, it does have a hole, but that hole is only about the width of one slice of bread. So I totally ignore it when I go through and I just slice, and I actually slice this way. Hold on just a moment. I slice my bread like this. It actually ends up looking just like a regular loaf when you slice it like that. Just some of the slices will be a little bit more narrow than when you get to the middle section, but it is very, very nice, and I'll show you what it slices up like. And here you can see the bread already beginning to be sliced. We've actually gotten about halfway through this loaf. There's the hole at the bottom where the paddle is. You can see it's about the width of one slice of bread. So technically you could just go ahead and slice the bottom off of that, or as I do, just leave it there. It's not that big of a hole to make a difference. But you can see that the slices are nice and thick. They do look like a regular bread that you would get in the grocery store that's already sliced. You can slice it, pre-slice it, and just have it already sliced up and in a bag, or you can just leave it like I do and slice your slices as you need them. And now let me show you what the Sunbeam loaf looks like. And here we are with the Sunbeam bread machine loaf. It does look like a more normal loaf of bread. It is about a pound of bread in those machines, pound and a half. And you can see it is a nice thick loaf as well. And it does slice up more like a normal grocery store, grocery bought bread. But you can see that it does this in the center. And so far in that machine, I have had the same issue with every single one of the bread that I have baked in it. You can see here this one is actually a lot more concave than this one is. This is the first one that I've gotten this much of a rise out of it. But it does have a nice rise and everything, and the texture is just as good as the bread machine. It just ends up, for some reason, losing the rise in the ending right before baking. So I'm not real sure what's going on with that. But it still is delicious bread. You can still use it just as normal. As you can see, the hole at the bottom is about the same on this one as it is on the Welbilt. So you do have about a width of a slice of bread hole in the bottom, and you can either slice that off, just leave it on like I do, and you actually get more slices without having that hole until you get towards the midsection. So there you have it. That is the Welbilt bread machine, and kind of versus the Sunbeam bread machine. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for notices on new videos as they come out, and we will see you in the next one.